It is 6 o'clock and I'm going to call the meeting to order of Canyon Regional Water Authority. And let's see, I'm going to do roll call. Janetta Roberts. Ted Gibbs.
Here.
Martin Poor.
Here.
Gary Gilbert.
Here.
Jeremiah Burns. Isaac Ikea. Humberto Ramos. Teresa Shield. Robert Snipes. Myself, Regina Frankie. Randy Schwinn. Brandon Rohan.
Here.
Mark Gilbert.
Here.
Stephanie Gonzalez.
Here.
Sherry McDaniel.
Here.
Nick Sherman.
Here.
Stephen Fonville. James Forcell.
Here.
Doris Stubing. Mabel Vaughn. Keith Steffen.
Here.
Mike Andrews.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Okay, if you'll stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Andrews, if you lead us in the prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here this meeting this evening. Father, please watch over those of us that are under the weather and cannot be here to force their health today. Listen to our words and improve our hearts as we work with you this evening. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Okay, I'll start with announcements. The Board of Trustees of Canyon Regional Water Authority may, during the meeting, close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to, in accordance with Chapter 551 of Texas Government Code. The Board of Trustees may, at any time during the meeting, close the meeting and hold an executive session for consultation with its attorney or attorneys concerning any of the matters to be considered during the meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Go on to public comments. Members of the public wishing to make public comment during the meeting must register A, on the sign-in sheet at the meeting site prior to the meeting, and or B, by emailing mmeredith@crwa.com prior to the meeting. Written comments may also be submitted. If you wish to speak, please state your name. Do we have any comments on non-agenda specific items? Yes, sir. Up there, please. And what is your name? I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead. Right-hand side.
That good? Perfect. This is just more of an introduction than a comment. My name is Wallace Darling with LRE Water. I'm here on behalf of Jordan Fernandez today, stepping in because he couldn't make it. And we are representing the city of Cibolo. We're helping out with some other things. So it's just easiest way to say hi. I don't know exactly who's with the city of Cibolo because I'm brand new out here. So nice to meet everybody. Did I say it wrong? Is it? No. Okay, cool. That's all. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other non-agenda item specific comments? How about comments on specific agenda items? Okay. None. We will move on to item 6, consent agenda items. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the board and will be considered by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered as part of the order of business. Do I have anyone who wants to remove any items from the consent agenda?
Microphone if you're speaking, please.
Say it again, Brandon. Oh, your
I asked
microphone. I'm
Doris
sorry, Doris.
to
Can you turn your microphone on?
Turn the microphone on.
That one? I think so.
Okay.
You want me to repeat? I would like to pull the minutes as they have so many errors in them, misspelled names, incorrect grammar, and incomplete sentences. You read a sentence and you don't even know what it says. I don't want this to have any reflection on the staff who is doing it. because I think they're new, and it's up to the secretary of the board to make sure that the minutes are in proper order before they are presented to the board for the meeting.
Okay.
So I would like them redone
Okay.
and on the agenda next month.
Okay, we'll pull them and then we'll vote just on item B. Do I have a motion for,
Make a motion to approve consent agenda item B.
Second.
any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, it's consent agenda, no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, and so 6A, do I have a motion to table these until next month?
Make a motion, we table item 6A. I'd also add, I was going to make a motion and I was going to specifically ask you, Ms. Stubing, if you had any critiques on the minutes, because I know you look at them very carefully. It might also be a good idea to have staff, coordinate with Ms. Stubing, who's got a sharp eye. That might help our process here as well. So I have a motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Mark Gilbert. Motion is second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Regina, real quick, I
Yes,
think
sir.
it's more than just grammar in here that we need to take a look at. There's some items that don't actually have any resolution in them, like action items that we ended up not doing anything on. And so we want to look at that a little bit too, not necessarily just the grammar here.
Okay, so grammar and content, both you're saying. Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Motion passes to table to next month. Okay, moving on to number 7A, under reports, water supply, facility operations, and capital projects. Harry, I'll kind of give you the floor on these.
And I know Mr. Telfer included the update on the drought conditions and the treatment and storage. Are there any questions on those updates?
I will tell you that a friend of mine at GBRA said that they in error today sent out that we're still in stage 2, that they will go to stage 1 tomorrow and let everybody know.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So amazing is right.
And I didn't have a handout for general manager's notes today because there's really not much to update on. I will give a couple of updates though on the projects, mostly focusing on Hayes Caldwell. They're still working with Paul to get the new mobile unit up and running. I think we're pretty close. We're going to have them come back out and do some coordination to get us going on that. But you think by the end of this month, David, on that one? Okay. Same with the pilot studies. Those are ongoing. I think we have 2 on site now, still waiting on the 3rd. And then there has been a little bit of movement in as far as coordination among the legal representatives as far as working towards a contract amendment. I don't know if there's any update on that, Ruben, that you have. Okay. I really don't have any other updates on anything under 7A.
Okay, 7B, external affairs, regional planning, and administrative reports.
Regina, can we go back to 7A real quick? We don't have a separate item on this agenda about the emergency action we took last month. Is that correct? So can we talk a little bit about where we are with getting the Wells Ranch up and running?
Sure. Do you questions? You just want to update?
I don't have a specific question. It's just been a month since we enacted the emergency action. I'm just curious where we are on it. I think it's important enough to update us on real quick.
Sure, Carrie. On the emergency, we gave approval to treat, I believe it was Wells Ranch or something. Yeah. He just wants to know where we are on it.
Do you want to come update on where we're at on that, David?
So far as doing anything on that, we have a contract on it. Just got to be signed, and then we can get moving on that for drilling the well. Came out at $1.993 million for the turnkey deal on it. So just need a signature and we'll start on it. We only got one bid too, by the way. Everybody else didn't want to give us a bid right now because of the tariffs and not being able to hold the prices they were afraid of.
So Carrie, if we've got slightly different by several $100,000 cost that what we discussed last month, how do we cover the difference in cost?
Well, so the 1.3 we talked about was just for drilling the well. And that's still about where we thought it was going to be. The remaining money, the 2 million, I mean, we do have, funds on hand that we can cover that cost. It's just going to be, it takes money that we're not going to have at the beginning, at the end of the year is basically what it's going to boil down to.
That just come out of repair and replacement budget item or?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What's the 600,000? So 1.3 is for drilling the well. 600 is it just for pump, motor, installation?
Yeah, just the equipment and the installation, and also for abandoning the existing well.
And the engineer, through TC.
Yeah, also the engineering, Mr. Rohan.
What firm is doing the engineering?
It's all being done by Weisinger.
So the 1.3 number they gave us earlier didn't include their engineering costs?
It did include their engineering for the drilling the new well. It didn't include any of the costs for the new equipment or abandoning the old well.
Is the abandonment something that we can punt until a future budget year, or is that something that must be done immediately?
It should be done as soon as possible. I don't know if we might have some wiggle room where we can punt. Has to be done right away.
I don't know if that's a wise idea or not.
Yeah.
Whatever the cost of abandonment is, it's surely more in the future. I just know that's a big delta from what we'd always discussed on this project before. So,
David, does it have to be done because of TCQ regulations?
David, have a seat up there. Quit wheeling back and forth.
Okay.
Sorry to yell at you, but you're gonna run over Ruben here.
So, part of it was the fact that, I got approval through TCQ to do all this, to move forward. We have to abandon the other one before they'll give us full acceptance. We do have to move. We're moving to a different location. We got that worked out with the landowner. So everything has to be moved, and we have to completely abandon everything that's there and move up to the new spot. So we gotta do all the fences, the surveys, the plumbing, the electrical, MCCs, everything has to be done, just like starting from scratch here. So, and we didn't upsize anything as far as upgrading the well. We could have, but it'd be more money, so we just kind of left it just like it is and let it go.
Brandon, did that give you the information you were looking for? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to 7B, External Affairs, Regional Planning, Administrative Reports. Carrie?
And I really don't have any updates in this section. We do have an update regarding our coordination with Region L, but that's in the executive session. The GMA 13, their next meeting is on the 15th, 10 o'clock. The Gonzales Underground Water District, they have a meeting on the 16th. I'm sorry, they had a meeting on July 16th, and to conduct a final hearing on the GBRA permit amendment, and both of those denials were upheld. They denied both permits. They actually have a meeting tomorrow evening. And then the Guadalupe Groundwater District has a meeting on Thursday at 4:30. I don't have any other updates in that section. We are working to have our legislative affairs consultant come next month and speak to the board and just give an introductory meeting. So look for Focus Advocacy to be here for the September board meeting.
Any questions? Okay, I'll move on to 7C, Committee and Board of Managers reports. Brandon, is there anything you want to report on with the executive committee?
No, I mean, not specifically. We did pass around the disbursement policy. You know, those policies are really small, and that's an action item later on in the agenda. And then we met to do the agenda review, relatively short meeting, about 35, 40 minutes last week.
Okay. Sherry, on the budget committee?
I think I made my report last time. We met on the 27th of July that was our final meeting to come up with the final draft, which we presented at the Board of Managers meeting on August the 6th.
Great.
And I guess we have a lot of action items for the budget coming up on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Construction committee?
So I'm going to review the notes Brandon was good enough to cover for me while I was out of state at a funeral. We have some transmission line updates. The TxDOT work at 1518 and Santa Clara. Well, let me start on Santa Clara. So the contractor is remobilized and they're providing an updated schedule. We think about 4 weeks or so to provide substantial completion on that project. The 1518 project with the same contractor, we're just waiting for grass restoration. Carrie's been encouraging that contractor, same contractor, to go ahead and finish up. So it's good to see some movement there. We do have an I-10, the Channel D conflict. That's something the Utility Engineering Group is working with TxDOT to modify the utility agreement. And that will be another TxDOT funded project to move our line. So that's still in process. And the Hayes Caldwell pipeline, we're still in the easement acquisition process, and they're working with the local electrical provider for conflicts. So that one's moving along. Lake Dunlap interconnect with ARWA, no update there. The facilities upgrades, the strainer project, strainers are supplied out of the Middle East, which is probably not the best case scenario for specialty equipment. So we're running into some supply chain issues there. Is there any update further on that, Carrie, you can provide, or just
No,
might have some schedule impacts on that?
possibly. Right now, we're intending to issue the NTP for September 1st.
September 1st?
Yes, sir.
On the Wells Ranch water treatment plant, the generator is being moved. It says the fuel was removed from it, so not a whole lot of work going there, but no issues that we are aware of. On the Hayes Caldwell plant, DN tanks, which is the phase 1 project, their completion schedule is going to conflict with phase 2. So Ardura is going to coordinate with the contractors and figure out how we do that. And then Carrie mentioned the Paul unit and the pilot study. So that is the summary of Brandon's notes to me. Brandon, thank you again. I appreciate you covering for me.
Can I add something to that? On the list of 19 items, the answers that we received were from the contractor on the thing. So then we've asked for David to review it and make sure that he is in agreement with these, so that this is not, what's in the packet is not a final completion of the list of 19 things. It's just, we still need to make sure that David is in agreement and that we are truly good on these 19 items, because there's some things in here that were kind of still a little sketchy. So
Yeah, there's still some items that are not resolved yet.
Could I ask a question? Mr. Rohan, can you explain how the completion of the phase 1 is going to conflict with the beginning of phase 2?
Yeah, I don't have my notes pulled up in front of me. It's actually kind of interesting enough. The contractor for phase 2 is the same contractor on phase 1. The difference being on phase 1, they're a sub for DN Tank, and if I remember correctly, they're GC on phase 2. And they're just the project got delayed a little bit while they were, my understanding is as they were addressing those 19 questions that Ms. Shule was just talking about, they kind of stopped doing work for a couple weeks while they were doing some survey work. And so they're just a little bit behind. And I think the concern, as I remember it, is that they don't want to start work on phase 2 and then have a potential conflict where there's an issue with finishing out phase 1, like something gets damaged, something doesn't get done correctly. They don't, because I guess they're the same contractor, but one, they're the GC and one they're a sub on. They don't want there to be any issues there on closing out phase 1 with their contract with DN Tanks. Does that make sense?
Okay, so they need all their finals and everything signed off to clear that contract prior to starting phase 2?
I believe that's what they would like, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, Contract Review Committee. Brandon, do you want to speak to that?
I just still need staff to get us coordinated with Mark McCliney and Stephanie Leby. That's the next step for the Contract Review Committee, is to kind of get to hear from them on what we may be able to do with future contracts. I would expect we're having a meeting before October or September trustees meeting.
Thank you. And Board of Managers.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. So we met on the 6th of August for our Board of Managers meeting. Primary focus was looking at the budget. We did cover, drought precipitation and updates from the staff, which were all good. We talked about treated water production, and we made the determination that we're going to tour Lake Dunlap treatment facility next month. So, thank you, David. He's signed us up. So the Board of Managers is going to do a tour for our meeting next month. And then we talked about the budget. There's a couple of things that we went through in the budget that'll be discussed, kind of in detail. The ability to do a budget to actual is something that we talked about in the Board of Managers, and pretty much everyone's behind that, meaning that at the end of the year, we're going to true up and then start next year with the balance in that budget item, which we think that is good. We talked about a couple other specific things. And then we closed out by talking about the necessity to do any master planning. We don't have any recommendations yet, but we had an open discussion about how we bring all of our master plans together to equal something that would be helpful for CRWA. And then so I do have some recommendations tonight on 3 of the resolutions. I can give them to you now, or we can give them as we go through the business items. It's up to you either way.
I think it'd probably be easier as each one comes along.
Sure,
Is everybody
I can do
okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 8A. Discuss, consider, and take possible action on Resolution 2508003, approving an amendment to the fiscal year 25 budget to reflect changes to the CRWA budget. Gary, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, so there are 2 changes. The first one is related to the interim equipment that was necessary at the water treatment plant for Alliance Regional to get up to the full treatment capacity. There was some additional charges for that equipment. It was approximately $489,000. Those charges would be for Crystal Clear County Line and Green Valley. They'd be essentially pass-through costs. Now, Green Valley does not need their water yet, and so they elected to actually sublease their water to the city of Kyle. And so also reflected in this total amendment is the deduction of those pass-through costs. There's about $216,000. So the total increase to the amendment is about $273,000. And this is a budget amendment that's already been approved at Alliance Regional. And we're just bringing it here to get approval for those charges on our budget.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A motion to approve resolution.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, 2508003. And I'm sorry, somebody seconded. Who seconded? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
And abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 8B, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 25-08004, approving the fiscal year 2026 budget.
And I have a PowerPoint of a few slides, if you can bring that up, Michaela. The total budget ended up being a little over $55 million. $55,012,145.13. Increase of approximately 11.6% over last year's budget. That it does include a repair and replacement budget of about $8.3 million. And I'll be going over some of the bigger ticket items in that line item, based on projected sales of just over 24,000 acre feet. Next slide, please. So this is just the 5-year budget growth. Since the beginning of our meetings with the budget committee, we've trimmed it down some. Still a considerable amount of growth, though, about $6 million almost. Go to the next slide. Breaking down into the allocations, by far our biggest slice of the pie here is with plant O&M. Bond payments, of course, are still one of our biggest costs, along with raw water. And then repair and replacement is also a big ticket item in this year's budget. One thing I wanted to point out, if you go to the next slide, of our plant O&M, a fair amount of that is our pass-through costs with CRWA. And just wanted to kind of point that out. That alone is about 16% of our total budget. But even without that, the plant O&M is still a big part of our total costs. Next slide, please. This just showing some of the growth in the categories. You can see the biggest increase is the raw water, the plant O&M, repair and replacement, and then the administrative costs. And I've gone into some of these. If you go to the next slide, Michaela. So O&M, it's about a 12.3% increase across the board. I said before, the projected sales just over 24,000 acre feet. Some of our bigger, increases, the variable costs for chemicals and utilities went up by 3%. Real and personal property insurance rates went up 12%. We did increase the amount of legal fees that we typically would for Wells Ranch and for Hayes Caldwell. That's just because of the pending litigation for Wells Ranch for the generators, and then for Hayes Caldwell, just to increase legal involvement towards trying to work out our contract amendment. Then also, we did have a decrease from this past year. We did see a 30% decrease in our healthcare benefits costs. So at least something did go down. Next slide. Bond payments, not really much change at all, and not much to really say. It is still a big part of our budget. The one thing I did want to just remind everybody is that it's we do retain 3 months of payments in reserve, just to have that cash on hand. That's something that was decided a while back by the board. Next slide, please. Raw water. Main reason for the increase in that is the GBRA raw water rate increased from $184 to $193 per acre feet. Next slide. Administrative costs. Probably our biggest contributors to that. We're adding 2 positions, one for an assistant general manager, also one for a controller. There might be an opportunity to combine those 2 positions, but I did want to have 2 positions there. There was a project manager position that we wanted to add, but in looking at it, realized that what we really wanted them to do initially was an asset management plan. And that's something that we can hire an outside firm to do at about half the cost of the annual salary of a PM. So we went that route with this next year's budget instead. Now, I had in there, and this was just a kind of a rough number. I'd plugged in $200,000 for an office expansion, and that's for temporary offices. I've realized that not even that would cover buying an office building. So, I mean, we're looking at starting at $250,000 if we wanted to purchase one. I've got quotes, 2 quotes, both in the neighborhood of $60,000 to lease one. Those costs would cover, the setup and then the lease for the first year. One quote was about $58,000. The other one was $62,000. So we can reduce and plug in. I'd like to plug in $65,000 for office expansion, so we can actually reduce that amount and bring it down a little bit more.
And Carrie, is that 200,000 that will become 65,000? Is that included in the 880?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this the time for questions, or you want to finish your presentation?
I'll go ahead and finish up. I just have one more slide. Repair and replacement. So that increased about $2.2 million from last year. Some of the big ticket items in there. So for Lake Dunlap, we're carrying that difference from the construction cost for the strainer project. That also includes the cost for doing the design for the additional membranes and the infrastructure to support that, as well as the rehab on the tanks. Wells Ranch, that includes the emergency generator project cost of 3.8. That is, we still have all intent of getting reimbursed for those costs once we get through our litigation. It also includes costs for the Hayes Caldwell membrane pilot study, and then some of the facility. Well, all the facilities still had some repair and replacement, but this also includes enough to maintain a $500,000 balance in repair and replacement for each project for unknown costs. Next slide. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I do have one question in regards to leasing potentially of the buildings. Were you able to look in to see if one building would be sufficient room for you to start with, based on what we were talking about in the budget meetings, or if you're going to need 2 buildings, so we kind of know where that cost may be decreased by?
Well, I think the one building is going to be enough. That's one building with 4 office spaces in it. About half that cost is for setting it up, and then the cost to tear it back down when we're done. And then it's right around $3,000 a month for the, yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes. Would you roll back to the admin slide? I had a couple questions. So what else is included in the 880 total adder there? When we just discussed, we're going to reduce, 140,000 of it roughly with the change in how you want to handle that. Surely all that is not the salary of 2 new positions.
It's either awkward silence or someone doesn't have a mic on.
Gary's flipping through his notes. He's preparing to
So
answer.
it's the 200,000 was for the office expansion. Employee costs is 366, and then operations costs is 314.
So the operations in exclusively administration.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more of what that is? I don't know.
Joan, I'm gonna need your help. Got to see it
And
right.
I did, and thank you for sending out today the full budget, not just the brief summary. I burned through it as quick as I could. There's adders here and there, but I don't think my quick math in my head about some items I was looking at added up to 330.
So the administrative expenses that are in here where it says CRWA operations under admin, That includes legal fees, engineering fees that pertain just to Canyon Regional as a whole. It also includes office supplies, office equipment, telephones, mobile phones for administrative employees, mileage for administrative employees. It also includes adding 2 vehicles, one for the operations manager and one for the project manager. And just everything to actually run the office. And one of the big deals with the vehicles is our operations manager, we used to just reimburse him for his expenses based on the mileage rate. And now we're going to actually provide him with a vehicle because he drives so much. And it also includes insurance, general liability, errors and omissions, that kind of thing.
So you said that, I know you have in here for 2 vehicles. One was supposed to be for the operations manager and one was supposed to be for the project manager. Well, now you're not hiring a project manager.
We currently have a
Oh, for
project
the new
manager.
one. I mean, for the current one. Okay.
And we've done some number crunching on the mileage that they were driving, and it's better for CRWA to own and operate the equipment, the trucks themselves.
Yeah, we'll come out. It's not a big difference, but yeah, we'll come out ahead.
Okay.
by owning the vehicles.
And Nick, the trucks, their fleet of trucks is devastatingly old.
Is that I've not looked at it myself.
If it's a 2015, it's a new one. Here, I mean, just making up a number, but it's about the truth. I was just like,
And then one other thing, Carrie, you had sent me, I don't know, some time ago, an org chart. And I was looking at the org chart. On the one you sent me, there were 9 admin staff members, and then we're adding 2 more under this. And then I think it was 16 operators, and we had a few open positions. And I want to mention that because I'm feeling like we might be getting a little top heavy with the quantity of admin staff versus the quantity of the operators that are, admin is helping keep the system running, but we need people turning wrenches when pumps break and change things out and notice when something is starting to go bad so we don't have a catastrophic failure. I want to make sure to say that we need to be very, cognizant that we're not short on operators that are actually turning the wrenches and running the system. So I want to make that point. And then I flipped in the full budget that you sent me, I flipped to the admin section. I was trying to catch a couple things, and it reminded me, we've got an awful lot in here for conferences and meals and that's not the biggest, that's not going to move the needle on the budget overall. That's just an awful lot of money, 40,000 to have in there for conferences and meals, when we used half of that this year.
The conferences and meals are also the meals that we provide for meetings. It's not just, and we also have more employees that want to go to these conferences to learn from them.
I understand that. I think it's important that employees are here doing the job. We don't need to double the amount of time we're out of the office, in my opinion. I think that's just, I'm not saying take it out, because again, it's not going to move the needle, $20,000, but I don't think we should double the amount we've spent on current fiscal year with future fiscal year for conferences. And the meeting meals. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Just that one jumped out at me as well, because we have conferences and meals under each of the other categories as well. There's additional dollar amounts in there, and I could never find anywhere where it was totaled up to where I could see how much is being spent on each different categories. You've got it broken out, which I think is important to do, but I couldn't see an aggregate total of how much, conference time we're doing. That was one thing that jumped out at me. And then the other one was the building. I was going to ask about that, but you've already addressed that. So I'll end my question session now. Thank you.
Any other questions on that?
I've got a couple questions. The first question, Carrie, can you explain with regards to San Marcos? San Marcos owes under Hayes Caldwell on this budget $249,000. Of which is repair and replacement and membranes. Can you inform us as to what's going to happen in the event San Marcos doesn't pay, which it didn't pay last time?
Well, in the event that they don't pay, we'll have to do a budget amendment to this year's budget as well, and reallocate those costs to the other Hayes Caldwell members.
Okay. So have we done a budget amendment for this year? For these costs that have been,
Yes, sir.
okay. I don't remember that, but please remind me. Okay. Something else I want to state on County Lines' behalf, just so everybody understands. Through this budget process, we've stated we don't want to be part of Wells Ranch 3. We don't want to be charged $403,000. We sent a letter back in October of 2024, I believe, where we stated we're not participating because we don't have an agreement. There is an agreement out there. We have not signed it. And so with regards to this 403, we're telling everyone here at this table that it's highly likely we're not going to participate in Wells Ranch 3. When I mean highly likely, we have a technical memorandum that states, based on this project, it's not feasible and it's not advantageous for us to participate. So at our Board of Trustees meeting on Monday, you will get a letter from County Line saying we're not participating. So that being said, to our friends here, this 403 is going to have to be reallocated. Sorry, we've told, and our intent was to look at this project with clear eyes, and it's not feasible for us. So at the end of the day, we'll be in the rears of $300,000 since October. Then now it's another $403,000. So we'll be in the rears of owing y'all $700-something thousand. So sorry, but again, it's our intent to not be part of Wells Ranch 3.
Appreciate you letting us know. We'll make it work.
Anything else on 8B?
I'll just add that I've asked the budget committee to meet frequently in what I'll call the budget off season. Give them a break. I appreciate the work they did. I appreciate the work Sherry did and the budget committee, work staff did on this, the work the board of managers did reviewing it for us. I appreciate the work everyone did. But I've asked the budget committee to continue meeting to start kind of developing some changes for the fiscal year 27 budget. And I also think it's important for the budget committee to at least quarterly review this budget and see where we are and see if there are some amendments we need to make. One of the things I've pointed out a few times, and it's not a big enough deal for me to advocate for a change today, is that we're going to have money left over in this budget for salaries, and we're adding more money on top of that. And I really do think that we're probably over budgeting for salaries, but that's something that we can address as we get through the fiscal year. Likewise, on legal fees, if we come to agreement with the Hayes Caldwell Group, there's not a strong reason for us to be pulling $300,000 out of their pocket to stash away for legal fees. Those kinds of things need to be amended. We probably need to look at that in after the first quarter so that we're not taking money from the member entities that we don't really need. And so that's something I've asked them to do. And I think Sherry said that they'd be willing to continue working with us and looking at that even in this off season.
Works for me.
I was going to give you the board of managers recommendation if you want.
Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
so we talked about it a couple of times in the board of managers meeting, twice actually. And so a couple additional things I'll point out that haven't been pointed out yet. Pay real close attention because it does change the variable rate, right? So the variable rate for Lake Dunlap, for example, is instead of 97, it's 98 cents. And so if you don't look at the budget material closely, that might sneak up on you, right? But it's in there. I mean, so there's also changed for, I think, Hayes Caldwell and the Wells Ranch. I'm not sure, maybe not Wells Ranch, just Hayes Caldwell might have changed too. But that was one thing we talked about. We also talked about what we'd appreciate the staff doing. And of course, we're not a decision-making body, right? We're just a helping body. I think it would be helpful to present to the Board of Trustees for things like the building, things like new vehicles, what those actually are as part of your budget material. And that's a discussion we had at the Board of Managers meeting. I think that's important. But ultimately, we're going to recommend with any changes the trustees make tonight that we do approve the budget.
Thank you.
And Brandon, to your comment a couple of seconds ago, Phil said this a little while ago. We're going to take the actual balances. So you're right. We should be able to take a look at come October what the balances were for year end and say, oh, we have 35,000 left in
salaries. Oh, we have 123,000 left in legal. And then adjust it like every other business does. So I think that's a wonderful idea and one we're going to definitely want to implement.
Do I have any kind of motion on 8B?
I'd like to make a motion with some amendments to, I'm sorry, I guess we have it here, to resolution 25-08-004 with changing the administration cost for the building from 200,000 to 65, and then also taking out county line from Wells Ranch 3.
Can you specify a little bit further what taking out county line from Wells Ranch 3? Is there a figure that you can
Get a
verbalize?
403,000. Because, yeah, for next year, the 403,83566.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Let's
Yes,
talk about
discussion.
the practicality real quick of it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fine.
if they're going to tell us, I mean, I'm glad we're going to get something in writing. It's been a long time. Probably shouldn't have let this go on since October 24, but we're here anyways. If they're going to send us a letter saying that they're not going to do it, we're going to have to amend this budget one way or another. Because obviously without an agreement, there's no reason, and nor do we want to force them or hold their feet to the fire or call it arrears for the rest of time. I don't think that makes sense moving forward into fiscal year 26. So for the practical matter, whether we approve the budget with county line in it today, they're about to tell us in a couple weeks, in a month or so, they don't want this water. And we're going to have to figure out a solution of what we do with the rest of that water. I just wanted to point that out from a practical matter.
And to build on your comments, Brandon, I was going to turn to legal, and Ruben has a stern look on his face. He may not be fully prepared to answer my question. You know, how is that divvied up? You know, we don't know. And to Brandon's point, we have to figure out what we're doing with that water. And the volume of water, I assume, would be, if someone else wanted it, they would take the cost. So we can't simply cut 403 out and then the total stays the same and the column doesn't balance. I need a little more information about what we would do there. And Ruben, I don't know if you can speak to that. What with this information, what do you suggest we do here?
I suggest you punt till next month.
On the budget itself?
Yeah, if you amend it tonight, you're going to wind up having to amend it down the road again. So what's the point of that?
And county line, would that give your body time to generate a formal letter that formally removes yourself?
Yes, but I just want to caution the board that at this point, there is an agreement out there that nobody else has signed. So I don't know why no one else has stepped up and signed it. So with regards to your statement, your request, yes, our intentions are at the meeting on Monday to have a letter drafted. It's coming to Canyon Regional about our non-involvement in Wells Ranch 3.
There is no prohibition on amending tonight. Of course you can. You can do it if you want. What sounds to me like you don't have all of the information that you need to make an accurate amendment.
Would it be a suggestion to approve the budget with only the building modification? And then when we get notification from county line, then our circumstances change and then we amend the budget, the potentially approved tonight budget, amend it down, or not down, but adjusted with the new information, the formal information at county
You
line.
can certainly do that, sir. Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll amend my motion if.
And is everybody comfortable with that? I just, this is fuzzy because this is news to me.
And I understand. Or is the second okay with the amended mention?
Yes, and it's not news to us. We've been talking about this for a while. We didn't sign an agreement, so I'd
Okay,
appreciate it,
anyway.
yes.
Okay, so I'm amending my motion to just approve action item. The paperwork's in the packet a little weird. 25-08-004 with just the administration building fee from 200,000 to 65,000.
Do I have a second to the amended?
Sherry McDaniel, second.
I second.
Any discussions?
Yeah, quick comment. What you're voting on right now is you're voting on the amendment, and then you're going to vote on the amended motion. I mean, the amended,
Gotcha. Right.
yes, amended motion.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're looking at two votes here.
Yes. I
First the
understand.
amendment, then the amended
Yes.
motion. Sorry.
One more time. I know, I understand the theory behind it. You just do it different here than what we do it. Because if it's self-amended, then we don't make a vote go on the original motion. So,
Because this involves numbers,
no, I get it.
it's best to do it this way. First, you vote on the amendment itself. Is everybody okay with amending the motion? If everybody's okay with amending the motion, then you actually vote on the amended motion.
Exactly.
Okay, so I take a vote on the amendment to
Yes.
the motion. Okay. Okay. All in favor of the amendment to the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the amendment passes. Now I can take a vote on the motion.
Mhm.
Okay.
As amended.
And I have a vote on the motion as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes.
And we can add an item under item 11 to bring this back up for next month when we've got it, or do we just let Kerry put it on there when he receives a letter? Never mind. Y'all figure it out.
That's more administrative than I want to get into.
Carrie can do it.
Okay, moving on to 8C, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 2508005, amending the Board of Directors administrative policies to include a disbursement policy and a revised email policy. Is this a Carrie or a Ruben?
You want to talk to the email policy first?
We had included a preliminary email policy in your last month's board agenda packet. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at it. We didn't get many comments. Ted, I think you sent us some comments. Anyway, we incorporated, Ted gives comments. I looked at it, tried to simplify it even more and more and more. And what you see is the end result. It is a policy that focuses on first, everybody's private personal emails, basically says those are prohibited. And then it focuses on the board members' host member entity emails and also prohibits those too. And it tells you why in the policy. The policy ends with, if in fact Canyon Regional were to distribute, whether it's phones or iPads or computers or anything like that, then once you terminate your employment or your term expires as a board member, you've got to turn those things back in within 30 days. And if you don't, well, then there could be consequences. But it's a very simple policy. The idea here is to make sure and ensure that everybody uses Canyon Regional's email system for all the reasons outlined in the policy. Hope that makes sense. It'll be a lot easier, whether it's for legal, for administration, for the auditors. And by the way, going back to the last item that you all just finished voting for, the auditors will be very happy with you. They'd like to see that level of minutia when it comes to numbers. Same thing here, making sure that if we have to scramble, whether it's a Public Information Act request or we have to scramble because it's some sort of a discovery request or subpoena, et cetera, we can get to those records very, very quickly and know which ones are producible, discoverable, and which are not because they fall under the attorney-client privilege. So I hope that you will consider the policy favorably tonight.
Ruben, I have a question on this. So let's say we approve this tonight
Yes, sir.
and we magically get new email addresses and devices. We're in the middle of a fiscal year. So if there's an open request, they're still going to be able to go after my Springs Hill email for anything for this year. Should we have it starting October 1?
Effective date was going to be my question because I know last month, Mr. Telfer had some figures, for equipment that, Sherry very quickly found less costly equipment.
Mhm.
And I don't know where, the final resolution on that is. How long does it take to get? When would we make this effective?
The answer to your question is yes, you can make it effective October 1, which is the beginning of your budget year. Regrettably, if a request comes in today, whether under the umbrella of litigation or a Public Information Act request, yeah, you're gonna have to go back and hunt down everybody's private personal emails or the host member entity emails. It's just the way it is.
It would have been that
Just-
way anyway, though, for
Oh, yeah.
historic, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, we did not pass purchase of equipment. What we did pass was that they would poll the Board of Trustees and determine who still wanted paper.
Mhm.
And those that did not want paper would furnish their own device.
Right.
So that was what was passed.
And then, from the previous discussion, if we have a private device, now we're still in the exact same conundrum we're trying to correct here. So
Not exactly, because email's held in the server, not on your device.
Yeah, but
So if somebody wants your information off of your email, it'll be pulled from the server.
which would be the same circumstance if Carrie emails me to one of 100 emails I might have. It's all on the server already because it's generated by.
Not necessarily my reply. His going to me would be, but not necessarily. You'd have two email situations involved in a request for information. But if it's on one server, everybody using the same email, domain, thank you, then it's all in one place.
So CRWA servers don't document and store received messages?
They wouldn't if I sent something to you. If I sent it back to Carrie, it would. But if I sent something to you, it wouldn't record that. Because that's my domain to your domain.
Clearly, there is going to be a period of transition here, but
So, one other thing that I want to strongly recommend for everybody is, because I know when everybody's on the same server and same domain, it's more of a chance of a walking quorum. So just be very careful about reply all in this situation, because when you're on the same domain, it's kind of more of a higher practice and everything where you could get a walking quorum. So just be very, very careful.
What we've done in our office to prevent that is when I send something out to my entire board, I put it as a blind copy to everybody so they can't reply all. So
I'm just,
that helps with that.
yeah, because as I said, when it's the same domain, it's more of a chance. And so just be very careful. Do we know when we would be, if we approve this tonight, when we would be getting these emails?
The email addresses are already set up. So, I mean, whenever we're ready.
how do we get access?
Brad?
I can send, I don't know the way everyone wants to do this, but I can come with, for the next Board of Trustees meeting, information on how to log in with your password and email. It's through Outlook.
That
So,
would be best.
I'm not personally capable of connecting to the entire universe through Outlook. I already have 55 emails. So is webmail an option? Because I'm telling you, this whole concept is a freaking nightmare. And it's going to be a tangled up mess to manage. And from where I sit, I don't know how I'm going to do it.
And have we had any requests that demonstrate this is a problem? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that we have.
the answer is yes. And it was a voluminous document request.
Any more discussion? I'll take a motion on this one, M8C.
No motion yet. You have two things here, Regina, if I can interrupt you.
Sure.
You've got a disbursement policy and a revision to the email policy. The email policy already exists in the admin policy. And so the resolution is set up, and it doesn't have to be both. Y'all can just say, no, let's only do the disbursement, let's only do the email. But the resolution is set up to capture one amendment to the admin policies rather than two separate agenda items, amending the admin policies. So if we could talk real quick about the disbursement policy, and then we can decide if there's a motion to add both, there's a motion to add one, if there's a motion to tear everything up and do nothing, but it probably be better doing it that way.
Okay,
And I guess I can,
go ahead, Brandon.
I guess I could talk on the disbursement policy. We discussed this at the last meeting about creating one. There's a small section, if I remember correctly, in the bylaws, but it didn't really address how we would expend the money. As we kind of get into the 21st century here, we've got different abilities, ACH being one of them. And so what we decided to do is make a new disbursement policy to put in the admin policy. And what that does, y'all should have it in your packet. If Michaela, would you mind putting it on the screen? The board communication for this, it has this language. It's really short. I think the trustees should read it. It's important. It's giving the general manager authority that he didn't necessarily have before. And I think it would be nice for them to see it if they have it. It's in your packet. It's on page 98. But maybe putting it on a screen will be helpful. And so what the change is in the bylaws, you would have to have 2 trustees sign every check. And what's proposed in here is allowing just the GM to sign anything that's part of the budget and authorized expenditure under $50,000. That's a difference in how Canyon Regional has handled things in the past. And I thought it was really important to bring this up verbally, not let it just be kind of hidden in the text, because it is a change of what we're doing here.
Carrie, chemical deliveries specifically that are recurring and that are costly, would $50,000 cover typical chemical deliveries?
Typically, yeah. No?
What?
I know quite a few it would.
Grab the mic. David and Joan are saying chemical deliveries would exceed $50,000.
So as far as chemical deliveries are concerned, we sometimes get some that are $50,000, $60,000. But then you also have some that are, say, $30,000, maybe $25,000 to the same vendor. So then that would make one check more than the $50,000.
And that's exactly where I'm going with that.
But my comment, what I was going to say on that is we could create it to where you have one check for one invoice, one check for the other invoice, but to this, it'd be the same payee, but 2 separate checks. So it is doable.
So at my day job, we have chemical deliveries that exceed the previous, whatever it was. I think it was 25,000. It was too low. And so we found where the magic number was, where typical chemical deliveries were. And then we set the threshold just above the normal chemical delivery cost, because we know we're going to get those recurring. We know we're trying to avoid directors having to come sign or trustees having to come sign these checks. So if we need to raise it slightly to hit where we would cover an expensive recurring cost like that, I guess my question is, what would it need to be if 50 is not quite enough?
I honestly don't know. I mean, some of our chemical costs, they've been kind of going up and down with these tariffs. So, and sometimes as far as deliveries, we, like out at Hayes Caldwell for one chemical, we only get that delivery maybe once every 3 months. But I don't know that we've ever had a chemical bill more than 50. Randy, you recall? I don't think so. Yes?
Yes, I think the closest was around 62, so maybe 75 could be a good number.
Yeah.
70.
Start at 75.
Where did the 50,000, that number come from?
It just, I think, so a couple of years ago, it was discussed to allow staff to sign checks when the policy committee was getting together to talk about, the little bit of disbursement that they talked about. And there was some pushback on giving the staff the ability to sign checks without having a trustee. And they felt it was really important to have a trustee sign a check. So we just found a number that was kind of low. If this board feels that, the staff should have even higher authority, I'm perfectly fine with that. I think we've already, in my mind, when we budget for something, we're saying we want to spend that money. I think we've got competent staff that can say, okay, this is part of the budget. I can sign the check for this. That's my opinion as just one trustee. I'm happy to have this number be higher.
I will say, I think we have a little bit different caliber of general manager leading the organization currently than we might have in the past. So as you know, credit to Carrie. Carrie, would you be comfortable if we were at 75,000 for this threshold? Sure. Okay.
Can I make you all very frustrated and groan at me? In my own screw up, not the staff screw up, I sent this to Carrie on Friday. We don't have all the sections here, guys, so you're not going to be able to vote on this. I'm not going to have staff pull this up and y'all look at it. It's got 3 more sections in here. I was looking at this and I said, this isn't everything. And I got to apologize. That's my fault because I'm the one that sent it to Carrie, didn't send them the other sections. So we're going to have to get this back out to you next month.
So then you would table this?
You would have to. I mean, you don't have all the sections here. There's a couple more sections.
thing?
So I'll make a motion that we table resolution 2508-005.
Second.
The whole thing?
Yes.
Change that number.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to table it to next month. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposition? And abstentions? Motion passes. We will bring this back next month, Carrie. Okay, moving on to 8D, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 2508-006, approving an agreement between CRWA, East Central SUD, Springs Hill SUD, and Green Valley SUD for the sale of an additional 920 acre-feet of water from the Wells Ranch Water Treatment Plant. Carrie?
And these are participation agreement or water supply agreements with Canyon Regional and the 3 entities. This is for the 920 acre feet of water that was permitted in Gonzales County already as part of the 14,500 that's part of Wells Ranch 3. So we do have a project going right now to upgrade the wells to produce that 920 acre feet of water ongoing. So these are just the agreements to address the sale into that water.
And all the member entities have approved the individual contract.
Yes.
So we're the last one.
And a motion for 8D.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2508-006 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to 8E, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 2508-007, adjusting the timeline for approval of financial and check register reports by the Board of Trustees. Carrie, do you want to take this?
Yeah, so it was just recently decided, what has been done for the past few years is the reports were being delayed a month to give time for accounts receivable to be paid, and just felt like it was a better picture of where the budget actually is. Just a couple months back, it was decided by the board to no longer do that delay and start approving the immediately previous month's register at the board meetings. So we have done that the last, I think, 2 meetings, but we actually discovered that in 2022, the decision to delay it for a month was actually a motion made at a board meeting that was voted on unanimously. So just making sure that we're doing everything properly, we wanted to come back and just pass a resolution that we're no longer having that delay.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve 25-08-007.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion?
Can we better word this resolution to say what we're actually doing here? The resolution says, be it resolved that the CRWA Board of Trustees approves adjustment of the timeline for approval of the financial and check reports. Probably should clear that up a little bit on what we're actually making in our resolution here, because, you know, when we go back, we're not going to remember what our intent was. We're going to look back at this resolution and say, we approved adjusting it. We probably need to say, you know, adjusting the timeline to be the immediate preceding month or something like that.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So you're gonna make me have to go through approving an amendment again. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, what or what additional verbiage are you wanting to add to it, Brandon? Can you give a suggestion?
Yeah, just want to say what we're doing. So we're adjusting the timeline for approval at the month immediately after the financial, something of that nature. This resolution doesn't say what we're adjusting. It just says that we're approving an adjustment to the timeline. And our resolution is our official action. We probably should state what we're actually trying to do here. And what we're trying to do is approve the financial for the prior month, not 2 months prior.
Mr. Gibbs, would you like to amend your original motion?
I apologize if I hear anything, I couldn't hear what he said.
He think it's a ceiling fan that's making everything sound horrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Would
He
you
just
like me
wants
to repeat?
To change it to where it's in the background information, it says and approval, the financial check register reports by 1 month is what he's wanting to add that verbiage.
General comment.
the month following.
Make it some.
Okay.
All right. I'll second that amendment.
Okay. Okay. I will take a vote on the actual amendment being approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposition? Abstentions? So the motion for the amendment passes. Now we'll take a vote on the actual resolution itself. As amended, you are correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Motion passes as amended.
You doing all right, Ruben? Your face is.
Y'all are worried about Ruben.
Thank you, Regina. As someone who's gone back in these resolutions to try and figure out what we did, I appreciate it being clear.
Thank you, Brandon. Okay, moving on to 8F, discuss, consider, and take possible action concerning engagement of a human resources consulting firm. Carrie, I'm gonna put this one in your lap also.
Yeah, this one hopefully will be quick also. So last month, we asked for a motion to get a human resources firm engaged. The intent was not necessarily to put out an RFQ, but in reviewing the minutes, that's actually how the motion was stated, was directing us to put out an RFQ, which from a cost standpoint is certainly not necessary. The cost is well below the threshold. And we would like to go ahead and get a firm engaged rather than have to go through the 90 some odd days of the RFQ process. So this is just to get more clarification and to get direction to be able to move forward without issuing an RFQ.
So what would be your procedure? Just contact a couple of companies to,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this, we don't have to.
Please.
I'll take a crack at this one.
Okay.
I make a motion to give the general manager authority to engage a human resource consultant firm without having to do an RFQ.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, moves us on to executive session. Item 9, the Board of Trustees may meet in executive session to discuss the following items, if any, pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, including where appropriate, sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.086, 551.089, and 418.183F of the Texas Government Code. All formal action will occur in open session. The three items are A, consultation with CRWA's attorneys concerning cause 250782 CVE, City of San Marcos versus Canyon Regional Water Authority, County Line Special Utility District, Crystal Clear Special Utility District, Maxwell Special Utility District, and Martindale Water Supply Corporation pending in the 456th District Court of Guadalupe County, Texas, pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. B, consultation with CRWA's attorneys concerning legal issues involving misidentification of the Canyon Regional Water Authority's Wells Ranch 3 project and Region L plan pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. And C, deliberation regarding the evaluation and duties of CRWA General Manager Carrie Avert pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code in consultation with CRWA's attorneys involving the evaluation and duties of CRWA General Manager Carrie Avert pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. I will recess the meeting at 7:15 with a 5-minute break, and we will reconvene at 7:20. Okay, it is 8:28. I will open general session. We are recording, yes. And as a result of the executive session, do I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve what we discussed in executive session. And then have Brandon also discuss a couple more items.
With the general manager saying?
With the general
Okay.
manager, sorry.
It's okay. Do I have a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, the motion is second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes.
Gina, do we need to state that we are taking no action on items A and B in executive session?
Ruben, do you usually do that, or if there's just no action taken, you don't mention the items? Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what meeting you're at. If you're at mine, we don't. Okay. And then moving on to item 11A. The next meeting will be held September 8th. Is everyone okay with that date? Okay.
Regina, I'm
Yes,
okay
sir.
with September 8th, but October is typically a challenge. Canyon Regional staff is off. A number of us are off on holiday. May need to discuss moving that October meeting to another date.
Do we want to discuss it in September? Just make sure everybody's aware that we need to look at a date for in September for October, or we want to discuss it now?
I would suggest that Canyon Regional staff reach out to the member entities to determine when their board meetings are so that we can make sure that we can pick a date that nobody has a board meeting on. When we've had to move that in the past, we've tried to shift it to the next Monday. I think that impacts county line, which is unfair in my opinion. If you shift it, these other days, you're going to impact other member entities. Let's get the staff to reach out soon, find out when everyone's board meeting is, and then let's pick a date in October that doesn't conflict with those board meetings.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, works for me. Okay. Any other agenda items to be placed on future agendas?
Not really to place on future agendas, but this packet
yes
is a mess.
Yes. I did.
For the resolution, I mean, we had the backup material before the resolution, and that's why I was having to go kind of page by page to trying to find the resolution number. This was just a mess.
Okay.
So if that's what was also sent out digitally, yeah. So yeah, just trying to find even what the resolution said, because you had to go through the backup material first to find the resolution.
So you want the resolution to precede the documents?
Yeah, because it's supposed to be backup material.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, but as I said, this was just kind of a mess.
Anything else?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Out. 8:32.